Part 63. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 623. 621. When He Tian woke up, it was already lunchtime. Taking the train with two children is a lot of trouble, but there is also a lot of joy. Everyone took turns taking care of the children, and the cheerful laughter of the two children could be heard in the carriage from time to time. The journey is long and warm. The long train finally entered Yanjing Station. He Tian fully equipped the child, kept it warm, and put it in the stroller. Huo Yingjun called two cars over to pick up Huo Jekan's family. He said hello, got in the car, and then turned on the complaining mode. "Oh, my grandma woke me up at around 4 o'clock this morning and asked me to come and pick you up." Huo Yingjun smiled bitterly. "I said the trains are all late, not early." Then grandma said, "In case it is early yet. I was waiting here at 6 o'clock. Huo Yingji smiled and said, "Thank you, brother. Thank you for your hard work, brother." "Second brother, you are so polite." Huo Yingjun said, Come, let me see my eldest nephew and eldest niece." He Tian and Huo Yingji were holding the children. Huo Yingjun, who was sitting in front, could see the two fat babies and stretched out his hands to pinch the little faces of the two fat babies. "My dear, these two children are so happy," Huo Yingjun said. "No wonder my grandfather and grandmother take out the photos and look at them several times every day. They are so happy, and I also want to have another child." He Tian raised her eyebrows and said with a smile, "Brother, sister-in-law, you want it as early as possible while you are young. Hey, we think about it too, but your sister-in-law and I are both busy, so how can we have time to have a baby?" Huo Yingjun said, "We can only make plans after your sister-in-law stops being busy." Huo Yingji smiled and said, "Brother, you have to hurry up." Since the founding of the People's Republic of China, the great man said that the more people we have, the more powerful we will be, coupled with the traditional Chinese concept of more children, more blessings. So in the past 30 years, the population has increased rapidly. Increase. No matter what it is, as long as it is too much, it is not good, and the same is true for population. When the time comes to limit population growth, you and your sister-in-law have a child, and the state staff will be the first to be included in the restrictions. Ah, Huo Yingjun was stunned. No way. Things in the world, plans can't keep up with changes. Huo Yingji smiled. Who knows what will happen in the future? If you really want a child, get it as soon as possible. You still have more work to do than half of your life. Why are you working so hard? Yeah, Huo Yingjun was convinced. "Thank you, second brother, for reminding me. I'll discuss it with your sister-in-law when we get back." After a while, we arrived at the Huo family's old house. Some acquaintances came over one after another when they heard that Huo Jekan's family had returned to Yanjing. What happened to the Huo family last year shocked everyone in Yanjing. More than 90% of people do not believe that the Huo family can survive the difficulties. Looking at Huo Jekan and Huo Yingji, what is surprising is that after they came to Yanjing, they really fought back. Later, many people investigated privately and wanted to know what method Huo Yingji used at that time, but found nothing. However, because they couldn't find anything, it made others even more curious and even fearful. They speculated that the Huo family had hidden strength that was so great that others could not imagine it. He Tian and Huo Yingji followed behind with their children in their arms. Mrs. Huo bypassed her son and ran towards He Tian. She reached out to hug the child and said, "My great-great-grandson." "Grandma, don't hug the children," He Tian reminded. She was worried that she would tire the children. "Oh, I can't hold you while standing. Come on, let me sit down and let me hold you," Mrs. Huo said, sitting on the sofa and opening her arms. He Tian put her daughter in Mrs. Huo's arms and wiped the child's saliva with a handkerchief. Mr. Huo hugged Huo Ruwa, as if he couldn't get enough. The two children did not cry when they had enough to eat and drink, so even though they saw so many people, they were only a little anxious and did not cry loudly. Everyone came over to see the child, the legendary twins. How strange. It was almost time for lunch, and everyone left one after another. The meritorious people in this area are not far away. Come and visit when you have time. Soon only the Huo family was left at home. Mrs. Huo took out two fine gold longevity locks from her arms and put them on the necks of the two children. Grandma, this is too precious. He had already given it to the child when he was born, and now he was given 2 pieces of gold. Tian felt a little guilty and worried that her eldest brother and his family would be unhappy. Mrs. Huo smiled and said, all the great-grandchildren have them. I prepared this carefully, wear it carefully. Take it, Grandma gave it to me. Huo Yingzhi reminded, Grandma has a great-grandson and a great-granddaughter, so she doesn't care about her grandson anymore. You child, you are unhappy, Mrs. Huo said angrily, they are small, so naturally they need to be hurt. You only have a wife who can hurt them. That's what Grandma said. Huo Yingzhi quickly agreed, making everyone laugh. Mrs. Huo took out a box, which contained a gold and red emerald necklace. The workmanship was very exquisite, and she said, this is an old thing, but the style is exquisite. You young people, you may have the opportunity to wear it in the future. Thank you, Grandma. Tian liked it very much and took it. Tian was a little embarrassed before, but later she learned from Huo Yingzhi that she would be unhappy if she didn't want the things her grandmother gave her. As long as you like it, Mrs. Huo said, if you raise your child well, I, as a grandmother, will reward you well. Tian smiled and said modestly, Grandma, you are very grateful. Brother Yingzhi and I are young and don't know how to take care of children. It was Grandma Wang who taught us and taught us a lot. In fact, I think we should thank you to Grandma Wang. Haha, don't worry about this, I will thank her properly. Mrs. Huo said, you should be rewarded for your contribution. Mr. Huo was happy. With 2 great-grandsons and 1 great-granddaughter, the Huo family gradually prospered. Seeing that his second grandson had 2 children at home, Mr. Huo also hoped that Huo Yingjun would have more children. It's just that Zhao Huan is busy with work and doesn't want to give birth. Mr. Huo can't force it. When Zhang Lifang came back, she went to the kitchen to prepare lunch with her sister-in-law Song Chunli. When it was almost time to eat, Huo Zheqian came back. His face was a little tired, but affectionate and excited, as if he had good news. If it weren't for lunch soon, Mr. Huo would really like to drag his 2 sons and grandson to the study and have a good chat. This year, the situation has changed and it has been overwhelming. While Mr. Huo was happy, he was also worried. What is the future path of the Huo family? How to get the most benefit? How should the Huo family take sides? Are the allies around you trustworthy? What's the future situation? Where to go? The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 624. 622. Song Chunli felt envious when she heard the bustling sounds outside. Huo Ruxiang stayed with his grandmother and did not go out. Ruxiang, why don't you play loudly? Song Chunli asked in a low voice while choosing vegetables. Grandma, Grandpa has been nice to those 2 little kids. He likes them but doesn't like me anymore, Huo Ruxiang whispered, a little unhappy. Grandma and Grandpa used to play with him. Now that there is a younger one at home, I don't like him anymore. At this time, Zhang Lifang came in. Hearing Huo Ruxiang's words, Zhang Lifang smiled and said, come, second mistress will feed us Ruxiang. The kid Huo Ruxiang is about to turn 3 years old. He is very smart and very sensitive. So Grandma and Grandpa, do Grandpa still like me? The little guy asked hopefully, worried that he would fall out of favor. No way, Grandma and Grandpa like us Ruxiang the most. It's just that the younger brother and sister are young and they just came home from abroad, so Grandma and Grandpa are holding them. Zhang Lifang said comfortingly. She was reasonable. Eldest brother and sister-in-law. The family stayed with the old man and the old lady. They only came back during the Chinese New Year, so they didn't want to make the adults and children in the old house unhappy because of these trivial things. Oh, Huo Ruxiang was relieved. Then I will go out and play with my brothers and sisters. Go ahead, your aunt will bring you toys to play with your brothers and sisters. Zhang Lifang smiled and coaxed the child out. Seeing her grandson running out happily, Song Chunli apologized. Second brother and sister, I made you laugh. This child Ruxiang is usually alone, and he is the only favorite in this family. Suddenly two children came, so he thought he had fallen out of favor. Haha, all children are like this, Zhang Lifang said with a smile. It will be fine when they grow up. I hope so, Song Chunli said. Second brother and sister, you have worked hard all the way. Go out and rest quickly. I will cook. I'm not tired either. My cooking skills are not as good as those of my sister-in-law. It's better for me to choose the dishes and you to cook, Zhang Lifang said. She knew that these were polite words from her sister-in-law. If she really left, her sister-in-law would probably be angry. Song Chunli and Zhang Lifang chatted quietly while cooking, but they also had a good time chatting with each other. Mrs. Huo saw Huo Ruxiang coming and introduced, Ruxiang, these are the daughter and son of your second uncle's family. They are your younger brothers and sisters. Huo Ruxiang felt relieved when he saw that his grandma was still smiling at him as before, and said, Grandma, my brothers and sisters are so beautiful, just like the glutinous rice balls you made for me, they are white and bouncy. His metaphor made Mrs. Huo burst into laughter. Yes, they are glutinous rice dumplings, white and tender, Mrs. Huo said. Ruxiang is so smart that he can think of such a metaphor. Huo Ruxiang stood on tiptoes, pinched Huo Ruiman's fleshy little face with his little hands, and said, Grandma, please let my sister play with me, okay? Feeling uncomfortable being pinched, Huo Ruiman moved her face, trying to avoid Huo Ruxiang's touch. My sister is still young. I can play with you by this time next year, Mrs. Huo said. Ruxiang must be good and be a good example to your younger brothers and sisters. Yeah, Huo Ruxiang smiled. Xiang needs to be a good baby. Yes, Mrs. Huo gave a thumbs up and praised Huo Ruxiang. At noon, Tian looked at her watch and saw that it was already 12 o'clock. At this time in the past, the child had already started drinking milk powder and was preparing to take a nap. So I went to make 2 bottles of milk and let them hold it and drink it. Huo Ruxiang saw them drinking milk and whispered, Aunt, Ruxiang wants to drink milk too. Okay, Auntie will make it for you. Tian smiled. Grandpa, does Ruxiang have a bottle at home? Yes, Yingjun, go and get the Ruxiang bottle, Mrs. Huo ordered. Tian, just give him half a bottle, he will have to eat later. Okay, Tian responded. Huo Ruxiang has been weaned. Now when he sees his younger brothers and sisters drinking, if they don't give him a drink, this little thing will be unhappy and very sensitive. Everyone was eating, and Tian was coaxing the children to sleep in the house. After everyone had finished eating, Huo Yingja heated up the food and served it to Tian to save Tian from eating it. When Zhao Huan came back in the evening, the house became even more lively. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo are energetic and full of energy. In the evening, Mr. Huo called his 2 sons and grandson to the study to discuss the future national trends. Kazuya chatted until late at night before letting him go. When Huo Yingja returned to the room, Tian was fast asleep with her child. Tian woke up in a daze and looked at the time. It was already 1:30 in the morning. Why so late? Tian muttered, hurry up and wash up and go to bed. Taking the train consumes the most energy. With people coming and going at home today and having to take care of the children, He Tian didn't even get a good rest. Okay, Huo Yingja agreed, kissed He Tian's forehead, and went to wash up. In the bathroom, the mirror gradually became blurry in the heat. When he came back this time, Huo Yingja vaguely felt that his grandfather and uncle had changed and were a little eager for quick success. Now that the Huo family has grown into a huge force, steady growth is the key, rather than rushing forward regardless of everything. Everyone knows that haste makes waste, but how many people can actually do it? Hey, they are all careless. Huo Yingja was angry in his heart. He wanted to live a stable life, but these people in the Huo family were not qualified for the job, and he had to take action. Fortunately, there is still some time, and he will find another opportunity to talk to his grandfather and uncle. Coming out of the bathroom, Huo Yingja looked at his sleeping wife and child, and suddenly became energetic and no longer upset. Even if it's hard work, even if it's boring, it's all for the sake of my wife and children, so it doesn't even count. The temperature in Yanjing is very low. Fortunately, there is heating in the old house. As long as you are in the house, you don't feel cold. He Tian originally wanted to take her children out to play, but when she saw the freezing weather outside, she immediately gave up her previous thoughts and stayed indoors. He Tian has a lot of overseas Chinese coupons in her hand, which her grandmother remitted to her and then got from the bank. However, there is no place in Nanxi that has overseas Chinese coupons. This time when she came to Yanjing, He Tian packed up all the unexpired overseas Chinese coupons and brought them over. She had time to go shopping. He Tian is not short of money now, but the annoying thing about China today is that money is not easy to use. If you don't have tickets, you still can't buy them. The Chinese New Year is coming tomorrow. He Tian made some traditional Chinese snacks and thought she still had a lot of overseas Chinese coupons in her hand to buy some ingredients for making bread and cakes. Kids love to eat these. It's better to make some teething sticks. My daughter and son who have already grown teeth need something to grind their teeth. He Tian doesn't like the fact that the child holds a radish stick in his hand every day. When he burps, the smell of milk is mixed with the radish gas. The smell is really indescribable. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 625. 623. Huo Yingja wore a tunic suit inside, a black cashmere woolen coat outside, and a pair of shiny black velvet leather shoes. Handsome and unrestrained, with jade trees facing the wind. He Tian wore a slim-fitting light green down jacket, which was warm and good-looking. There was a circle of cute fox fur on the hat at the back. It is light and beautiful. He Tian is extremely grateful to her grandmother and parents in country M for sending her so many clothes. After packing up, He Tian handed the child to Grandma Wang, and Mrs. Huo said, "Grandma, Yingja and I will go buy some things and do our part to have a lively new year." Okay, it's rare for you to come to Yanjing, so you can go out for a walk. There is nothing missing at home, so don't spend any money, Mrs. Huo said with a smile. Grandson's daughter-in-law, she feels comfortable seeing her grandson so good. This is our heart, Grandma, don't refuse. Huo Yingja smiled, then took He Tian's hand and left. Song Chunli looked at Huo Yingja enviously, and He Tian whispered, "Second brother and sister, Tian, the clothes that Yingja wears in his house cannot be bought in China, right?" Zhang Lifang smiled and said, "Yes, those are purchased by Tian's parents and grandmother. She also has 2 children, and she receives a large package every month, which lasts for a month." After hearing this, Song Chunli became even more envious and said, "Hey, second brother and sister, you have found a good in-laws. No wonder the second brother and sister's family were so active at the beginning. Instead of celebrating the new year in Yanjing, they also went to Kijia village to arrange their son's wedding. With such a good daughter-in-law, if it were her, she would be more positive. Haha, it's all fate. Zhang Lifang smiled. Her sister-in-law's jealousy recurred again. Hey, my daughter-in-law is not good, and her in-laws are so unkind and unrighteous. Song Chunli said, there is no way I can compare with your daughter-in-law. This family is not only rich, but also powerful. Just give birth to children. Let's face it, it's not even as good as Tian Tian, who won the twins at one stroke. Zhang Lifang frowned and said, sister-in-law, you can't say that. Huan Huan is already very good. That's not as good as sister Tian Tian. Song Chunli became more and more dissatisfied. Why didn't she meet a girl like he Tian Tian? Song Chunli became even more unhappy when she thought about her son's preoccupation with Zhao Huan Huan and his unfaithfulness to her words. Mrs. Huo squinted her eyes a bit dark and unclear, especially now that Song Chunli was talking more and more. She couldn't continue to let her talk like this, otherwise the family would be uneasy. Boss, wife, I hope this is the last time I hear you say this, Mrs. Huo said. Twins between twins are rare. Didn't you, me, and Lai Fang all have no twins? Besides, the Zhao family is pretty good. At least when we were locked up, the Zhao family went to the detention center to visit Yingjun and Xian Yuan, but the Song family was nowhere to be seen. In terms of ruthlessness and unrighteousness, the Song family was ranked ahead of the Zhao family. In the end, Huan Huan and Yingjun were in love with each other. Yi, give birth to future generations for our Huo family, and respect you. You still keep picking on Huan Huan, which makes me very confused. Do you have to let them divorce? Your son has no wife and your grandson has no mother. Are you happy? Zhang Lifang was stunned. She didn't expect her mother-in-law to speak so sharply this time. However, she also very much agreed with her mother-in-law's words. How come my sister-in-law only sees the shortcomings in others but not the advantages in others? Song Chunli was also stunned. She had said it before, but she didn't expect her mother-in-law to retort like this time, and in front of her second younger siblings, which made her very embarrassed. Mom, I'm just talking. Even though Song Chunli was dissatisfied in her heart, she didn't dare to contradict her mother-in-law. Just talking. Mrs. Huo was not ready to let Song Chunli go just like that. She always felt that the eldest daughter-in-law already had a grandson, and she didn't want to tell her in front of the younger generation. However, this did not make Song Chunli restrain herself, but instead intensified her behavior. Why would a family that could have been in harmony say such things? Mrs. Huo said. Do you know how sad Huan Huan would be if she heard such words? Song Chunli said, Mom, Huan Huan did something wrong indeed. Ruxiang will be 3 years old after the Chinese New Year, but she still doesn't want to have a child. Ruxiang is so lonely alone. She has no health problems, and it's not like her second sibling. It hurts your body and you won't be able to give birth. I told you several times, but you don't listen to me. Originally, Zhang Lifang wanted to give her some advice, but when she heard Song Chunli's words, she couldn't help but get angry. The pain in Zhang Lifang's heart has always been that her body was injured and could not regenerate. But this inconspicuous sister-in-law actually rubbed salt into her wounds in front of her. Such people do not deserve sympathy. Zhang Lifang even thought that Huo Yingqi was so stupid because she probably inherited Song Chunli's brain and emotional intelligence. Seeing her daughter-in-law's bad expression, Mrs. Huo became even more angry. This is a matter of Yingjun and Huan Huan. It's not like you don't have grandchildren. Why are you so anxious? Mrs. Huo said, you only have a son now. If you want your son to live comfortably and live a few more years, you don't say such things. So I'm just talking. Song Chunli was very angry when her mother-in-law refused to give her any face. Mrs. Huo stopped talking, looked at Song Chunli with cold eyes, and said word by word, "I finally understand who that idiot looks like." Idiot. In the hearts of the Huo family, this is the Huo Yankee who once brought disaster to the Huo family. After hearing this, Song Chunli turned pale and was speechless. Huo Yankee was a taboo at home. Even as her biological mother, she could only secretly think about her daughter in her spare time. She never expected that 2 years later, the taboo in the family would be brought up at this time. Speaking of this, Zhang Lifang couldn't interrupt anymore and lowered her head. She would have stopped chatting with them if she had known better. During the Chinese New Year, this happened. "Do you think what I said is unpleasant?" Mrs. Huo sneered. "Look at the Lu family in the front. And the Wu family in the back. Why have they become the laughing stock of Yanjing? Are men useless or unmotivated?" The Lu family, the Wu family, and Song Chunli all knew that she had made sarcastic remarks about these two families in front of her mother-in-law before. It's not because the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law in this family don't give in to each other and don't understand each other, which makes everyone famous and becomes a joke. Mrs. Huo said, "You mentioned these families in front of me before. I thought you've already taken a warning, but you didn't expect that you saw others being bad, but you didn't see yourself being bad." Zhang Lifang was surprised and sighed inwardly. "My mother-in-law is still so powerful, and she doesn't use curse words when she curses people. That sentence only sees the blackness of others, but not the blackness of oneself. The original sentence should be a crow standing on a black pig. Whether it's a crow or a black pig, it's not a good description. Recommended by my friend Lonely to review King Cold, Come Down, The Good-for-Nothing Lady versus the Monstrous and Sinister Prince. The man is strong and the woman is strong, the sweet pet is not to be missed." Thank you all for your votes and tips, and subscribe. There is something I want to say here. If there are monthly ticket red envelopes in the red envelope area, you can grab the red envelope and use it to subscribe to novels. It is very economical. I don't ask for votes because I won't get in if I do. I might as well suggest readers to grab red envelopes and subscribe to my book. Moi. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 626. 624. Song Chunli was about to cry when Mrs. Huo told her. Ever since she married into the Huo family and had arguments with her mother-in-law, she had never been able to gain the upper hand. Every time, she realized her mistakes and shortcomings. "Mom, I know I was wrong and I will never say it again," Song Chunli said. Wiping her tears, she got up and went upstairs. Seeing the person leaving, Mrs. Huo sighed and said, "Hey, wasn't what I just said a bit harsh?" Zhang Lifang didn't know how to answer. Yes or no were not good answers. Mrs. Huo has always known that the second daughter-in-law is smart, and it can be seen from her current behavior that the eldest daughter-in-law sometimes cannot figure out what to say and what not to say. This is still in my own home, no one will spread the word. If it were said outside, what would happen to the Huo family? Perhaps it's too harsh, Mrs. Huo murmured, but the Huo family is now in the limelight and is in a very critical period of growth. There are many people who are jealous of our Huo family, just waiting to see the joke. Originally, it was a good time. Yes, a simple family must have a little chatter. Mom, you are old, please pay attention to your health and don't worry about it. Zhang Lifang did not follow Mrs. Huo's words, but reminded her mother-in-law to pay attention to her health. It's not easy for her to control those things. Hey, as for your sister-in-law, I don't have to worry about it. I don't know how this family is doing, Mrs. Huo said. I have never interfered with you and Jekin for so many years. I know that you are a shrewd woman who knows how you can run your own family well. Now Tian and you are like mother and daughter, your son is filial, and your husband is respectful and loving. Your father-in-law and I have never worried about you. Zhang Lifang smiled and said, we used to be a family of 3. After marrying our daughter-in-law, we became a family of 4. We gave birth to grandchildren and then we became a family of 6. We usually have to work, and when we come home, we rarely have free time. There is no time to worry about this. Yes. Only in this way can we prosper, Mrs. Huo said. Okay, let's not talk anymore. You are not comfortable saying this in front of you. From now on, I can only stare more, maybe only after closing my eyes in spite of. Zhang Lifang didn't know whether to be happy or sad after hearing her mother-in-law's words. My father-in-law and mother-in-law have always cared more about my eldest brother and his family than their own. Hey, people's hearts are biased. Even though I felt uncomfortable, my parents-in-law did not do anything excessive. Mom, let me help you go upstairs to rest, Zhang Lifang said. If you have time, you might as well take your grandson or granddaughter. Mrs. Huo was a little tired and allowed Zhang Lifang to help her into the house. Zhang Lifang swept away her previous depression and went to Aunt Wang's place to take care of her children. Song Chunli wiped her tears in the room. She knew what her mother-in-law said was right, but she felt uncomfortable in her heart. Seeing Zhang Lifang being docile in everything, Song Chunli felt unbalanced. She was clearly better than her second younger siblings in everything, so why in the eyes of her elders, was she not as good as her second younger siblings? It used to be family background, but now it is son, daughter-in-law, grandson, and granddaughter. Nothing is better than that. Fortunately, the second bedroom is not in Yanjing, otherwise there would be no place for them to have the status of the eldest bedroom in this family. While Song Chunli was thinking about her mistakes and comparing the pros and cons of the two families, she was cautious again. Zhang Lifang always knew that her sister-in-law was petty, but she never cared about her because they were not together during the Chinese New Year. Even if Song Chunli said something unhappy in the past, she would pretend not to hear it and just pass it off, so as not to make a fuss during the Chinese New Year and make other people laugh. He Tiantian and Huo Yingzhi came to the overseas Chinese store. Because their clothes were very fashionable, the salesperson inside thought they were overseas Chinese and were very enthusiastic. He Tiantian was choosing things in front, and Huo Yingzhi was following behind with a shopping basket. Brother Yingzhi, this flavor of chocolate tastes very good. Xiao Yan and sister Lily both like it. I'll buy some and send it to them, He Tiantian said. Grandma likes this kind of toffee, so she wants to buy some too. If you like it, buy it, Huo Yingzhi nodded. Anyway, he came here because he wanted to be alone with Tiantian and help him get things. As for what to buy, just let Tiantian decide on her own. He Tiantian kept buying and taking things into the shopping basket, and soon the basket was full. Huo Yingzhi went to get 2 more shopping baskets. With He Tiantian's speed in shopping, just one shopping basket shouldn't be enough. In the end, it was just snacks, and He Tiantian chose 4 shopping baskets. We came to another area displaying Chinese specialty products, of which silk and embroidery accounted for 1/3. When He Tiantian saw this, his eyes lit up. Grandma and Grandma would look great wearing the cheongsam made from the silk here, so they personally selected 4 pieces of silk, 1 purple and 1 royal blue, suitable for the elderly. There were also embroidered clothing materials there, and He Tiantian also picked out 6 pieces, including 2 in beautiful colors, and gave them to her mother. Grandma Chi San likes white magnolia flowers, and Grandma likes white hibiscus flowers, which happen to be both in them. As for jewelry, He Tiantian picked out 2 hostas for the 2 elderly people and asked the salesperson to wrap them up. When checking out, the cashier was quite stunned when he saw so many things. So much, the saleswoman asked in surprise. These things are estimated to cost thousands of dollars. Do they bring so much money? He Tiantian smiled and said, yes, that's it. How much do you think it is? How many overseas Chinese vouchers are needed? Hearing what He Tiantian said, he should know the rules, and he shouldn't continue to suspect that he doesn't have enough money. As the cashier guessed, it was more than 1,000 yuan, and he said, the total is 1,383 yuan and 6 cents. We need the equivalent amount of overseas Chinese coupons. Thank you, he Tian said politely and looked at Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe took out 14 stacks of Unity from his wallet. There were 10 $10 coupons in each stack, totaling $1,400. He took out 1,400 overseas Chinese coupons. Seeing that the two of them were so happy, the cashier was secretly glad that they didn't talk too much just now. Seeing that the two of them had taken so many things and didn't bring anything to pack, he suggested, we have ordinary bags here, which cost 2 cents each, they should also be suitable for mailing. Bag, 5 cents each. He Tian was worried about how to mail it. When she heard this, she said, then give me 6 mailing bags first, and then 2 super big bags, which should be able to hold these silks and satins. Don't worry, we often receive Chinese and foreign friends here, so we have people here who are responsible for packing. As long as you divide it, our people will pack it for you. The cashier said that they have this service here. Thank you very much, he Tian said in surprise. She was just buying things and forgot how to mail them. Without the cashier's reminder, she and Huo Yingzhe would have gone to the post office to mail it, which was time-consuming and labor-intensive. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 627. 625. Mailing is provided here, which is very convenient for He Tian. After packing and paying the postage, He Tian and Huo Yingzhe took the things they bought today back to the Huo family's old house. Returned with a full load. The good mood brought by the purchase at the same time kept He Tian in a state of excitement. If you have money, you can spend it endlessly. These 2 flowers are really the 2 most beautiful flowers in the world. He Tian now has a deep understanding of it and likes the feeling of being rich. In the future, when conditions permit, she will definitely open a store to make money, and she will definitely feel more satisfied when she spends the money she earns. I think you like the things here. Let's come over and buy some when we have time and send them back to Nanchi, Huo Yingzhe suggested. He Tian was thinking about others today and forgot about himself. He Tian nodded and said, yeah, right, anyway, we have a lot of tickets and so much money in our hands. If we don't spend it now, why keep it? Huo Yingzhe's salary and allowance are enough for the basic living expenses of their family of 4. Her grandmother often sent her money, so He Tian had no shortage of money. If it weren't for the current unclear policies, He Tian would have used the money to do business long ago. She doesn't know how to cook other things, but she can cook braised pork. She is responsible for formulas, funds, finding other people to do the work, and waiting at home to collect money. Money begets money. When they arrived at home, He Tian asked Huo Yingzhe to take out the things, put one in the living room, and take the others into their room. He Tian and Huo Yingzhe went to Grandma Wang's room, where the 2 children were sitting on the carpet and playing. Seeing He Tian, Huo Ruiman, and Huo Ruhua, they all crawled over to ask their mother to hold them. He Tian knelt down and hugged her daughter, kissed her twice, then picked up her son and kissed her a few more times. Brother Yingzhe, come here and take care of the child. Let Mom and Grandma Wang rest for a while. I'll go to the kitchen. Help with cooking. Originally there were 2 nannies at home. One of them had something to do at home and couldn't come to help during the Chinese New Year. There was only one left. With so many people in the family, it was too busy, so Song Chunli and Zhang Lifang often went to help. Zhao Huan leaves early every day and comes home late every day. He has no time to do it, so He Tian, the granddaughter-in-law, has to take over. Okay, you go and do your work, Huo Yingzhe said, I'll keep an eye on the child. He Tian went to her room and changed into home clothes, which were comfortable and warm. In the kitchen, the nanny was cooking. He Tian went over to help, and the speed was really fast. Song Chunli was made sad by Madame Huo today, and she didn't come downstairs all afternoon. Zhang Lifang didn't want to come down, lest she meet her mother-in-law, and talk about her sister-in-law's right and wrong. She was in a dilemma and kept hiding upstairs to take care of her children. After dinner, Zhang Lifang winked at He Tian and asked her to go upstairs and take care of the children as soon as possible instead of down below. Although He Tian didn't know what happened at home in the afternoon, she always felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange. It's Chinese New Year, why do everyone have such strange expressions? However, she is a junior and a new wife. He Tian said good night to her elders, then went upstairs to take her children. As for things at home, I'll ask Huo Yingzhe later. At around 10 o'clock in the evening, Huo Yingzhe returned to the room. What's going on at home today? He Tian kept cheering up, rubbing her eyes, and didn't sleep. She just wanted to wait for Huo Yingzhe to come back and ask about the situation at home. Although she knows that it has nothing to do with her, if she understands it clearly, she will not violate the taboos in the family or offend others. Aren't you asleep yet? Huo Yingzhe was surprised. Normally, He Tian would have fallen asleep at this time. Well, I didn't sleep, He Tian said, my mother-in-law kept winking at me just now, so I came up in a hurry. I didn't know what happened down there. Haha, it's not a big deal actually, Huo Yingzhe chuckled, it was just that the eldest aunt arranged for the eldest sister-in-law in front of my grandmother, and my grandmother taught her a lesson. My mother was present at the time. The eldest aunt was probably not convinced and felt that she was losing face, so today the atmosphere at home was a bit weird in the afternoon, but it's okay, tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and it's almost the new year, so I'll be fine when I wake up. Oh, so that's what happened, He Tian nodded and said, I also found that the relationship between the eldest aunt and the eldest sister-in-law is not good. They usually just say hello and don't even say a word of gossip. Yes, my eldest brother also complained in front of me before that there was a disagreement between my eldest aunt and my sister-in-law, and it was difficult for him to be a good person when he was caught in the middle. Huo Yingzhe said, I'm so lucky that you and my mother get along well and understand each other. I'm so happy, I don't have to worry about splints. We are a family, He Tian said, we could get along well before, but it makes no sense that we can't get along well after becoming a family. Every family has its own difficulties, but because we are family members, we understand each other. It'll be fine in one go. It's better to be my wife, Huo Yingzhe said, kissing He Tian's head. Okay, it's getting late, hurry up and wash up, He Tian urged, she only needs to know about these household chores, and she will never get involved, let alone say a few words. Early the next morning, He Tian made some steamed cakes based on the ingredients she bought. They tasted good and were not greasy. The three children at home, Huo Ruxiang, Huo Ruiman, and Huo Ruhua, all like to eat it. Mrs. Huo, Grandma Wang is old and has bad teeth, but she also likes to eat. Zhao Huan finally took a vacation. She followed He Tian to do whatever He Tian did. Anyway, she never spent time alone with her mother-in-law Song Chunli. Fortunately, He Tian takes care of the children, and Zhao Huan also takes care of the children, so it doesn't seem out of place. He Tian pretended not to know anything and got along as usual. On New Year's Day, more people came to Huo's house to pay New Year's greetings than before. The Huo family greeted them as usual, neither too enthusiastic nor too cold. When people are in official circles, they can't help but wear various masks. This is just the surface. The Huo family has a small book of vengeance in their hearts. It records the people who were framed and made trouble for the Huo family in 1975, and the people who stood by and watched. A friend in need is a friend indeed. The Huo family has not forgotten the people who helped them, and will gradually repay them in the future. On the second day of the Lunar New Year, I went back to my parents' home. Song Chunli and Huo Jekian went to the Song family, Zhang Lifang and Huo Jekan went to the Zhang family, Zhao Huan and Huo Yingjun went to the Zhao family. Only He Tian, whose natal family is abroad and her natal family in China is in Qijia village, cannot go there. He Tian was a little envious, and Huo Yingja whispered in He Tianation's ear, "When we go on vacation, the child will be older. I will accompany you wherever you go." "Okay," He Tian smiled. Her husband cared about her and cared about her feelings, which made her feel warm. He Tian and Huo Yingja stayed at home and helped with things, which made Mrs. Huo like He Tian even more and pity her even more. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 628. 626. On the third day of the Lunar New Year, everyone came back from visiting relatives. Mrs. Huo asked Huo Yingja to take He Tian out to have some fun and relax instead of staying at home all day. There were many people at home and someone was taking care of the children. Huo Yingja was happy to see the success and took He Tian out to play. He Tian brought money and overseas Chinese coupons, and was going to go shopping again today. "Why don't we go out for a walk?" Huo Yingja was a little aggrieved. How sweet was the world they had agreed to have. He Tian looked at the dark sky outside, with snow particles mixed in the cold wind, and asked, "Are you sure you want to go out and play in this weather?" Huo Yingja only looked at He Tian, so he didn't pay attention to the weather. Since He Tian was afraid of the cold, he had to say, "Okay, let's go to the overseas Chinese store to buy things. At least there is heating inside and it's not cold." This time, He Tian brought a full 2,500 yuan and 3,000 yuan in overseas Chinese vouchers, trying to spend all the money. He Tian continued to pick things, while Huo Yingja held the shopping basket behind and acted as a porter. This time the salesman saw He Tian, and Huo Yingja was very enthusiastic. "This young couple came here a few years ago and bought thousands of yuan worth of stuff. What a big deal." This time, He Tian bought thousands of yuan worth of things just for eating. After that, he bought some elegant silk and satin, which he could make into dresses in the summer. He Tian also bought several beautiful silk scarves. He Tian also likes the handicrafts and so on here. She bought some and can give them as gifts when she is a guest later. This time, it cost a total of 2,200 yuan. These things were divided into categories and sent to the home in Nanji together. Anyway, on the sixth day of the Lunar New Year, they took the train back to Nanji. Their home and these things are almost here. At noon, when they came out of the overseas Chinese store, several salesmen at the back watched them leave. "Hey, they are really rich," one of the salesmen said in admiration. "We only make 50 yuan a month, and the money we paid in these two purchases is enough for us to earn for several years." "They are overseas Chinese and have money in their hands," one of them echoed. "In the past, if there were overseas relatives in the family, they would be criticized. But not anymore. Whoever has overseas relatives is a big deal. I really wish I had one too. Such rich relatives. Who wouldn't want to have rich relatives?" From the conversations of these salesmen, it can be seen that not only the upper class, but also the public's attitude toward the outside world has changed completely. The gloom of the past has passed, and spring is coming. "Brother Yingja, we won't go back for lunch at noon. I'll invite you to the overseas Chinese hotel for a romantic lunch." He Tian smiled, preparing to make Huo Yingja happy. Brother Yingja has always been obsessed with finding a romantic place to be alone. Sure enough, when Huo Yingja heard this, his eyes lit up and he said, "Great, I can't wait. Okay, I still have money and coupons in my hand. Let's spend them all today. He Tian was in high spirits. If you have money, spend it. Life is short, what's the point of not enjoying it? Huo Yingzhe was stunned, and suddenly felt that if he didn't make money well, he would be doomed to have a soft life in the future. As an upright grown man, he is always supported by his wife, which is a bit unaccustomed to him. It seems that after returning home, he will want to think about how to make money. The two came to the overseas Chinese hotel, which was divided into several restaurants with different tastes of food. Brother Yingzhe, which country's food do you like to eat? He Tian asked, seeking Huo Yingzhe's advice. Huo Yingzhe thought for a while and said, I don't particularly like it, just take your pick. How about French food? He Tian asked, you may not be used to food from other countries. Okay, I'll listen to you, Huo Yingzhe said, following He Tian. The facilities inside the French restaurant are very elegant. In 1972, He Tian and Grandma Chi San came back from the United States and passed through France. They were lucky enough to eat an authentic French meal there, which He Tian has never forgotten. The atmosphere here is good, a bit romantic and comfortable like a French restaurant. He Tian listened and said with a smile, do you like it here? Not bad, it's very quiet. Huo Yingzhe smiled and pointed to a table next to the floor-to-ceiling window not far away. Let's go sit there and eat while watching the scenery. Okay, He Tian agreed and followed Huo Yingzhe to the bedside. There is a heater inside and it's very warm. He Tian and Huo Yingzhe took off their coats, and a waiter wearing a vest and tie came over to help take the clothes. He Tian was wearing a light yellow close-fitting sweater, and Huo Yingzhe was wearing a light blue sweater, which was very fresh, like a touch of early spring in winter. French food is notoriously slow. However, when they come out as a couple, they don't just go out to eat. They also enjoy spending time alone, face to face, with only each other's reflections in their eyes. The sweet smile, gentle words, and the picture of two people together are a beautiful picture in the eyes of others. The lunch was delicious and the two chatted happily. Cousin, just when He Tian and Huo Yingzhe were chatting happily, a woman on the table not far away shouted softly. The direction the woman was calling was from He Tian and Huo Yingzhe's side. Huo Yingzhe frowned slightly and looked at the source of the sound. Oh, it was indeed a distant relative of the family. He said, hello, Wenhui, this is my wife, He Tian. He Tian, this is my mother's second uncle's daughter, Zhang Wenhui. Hello. He Tian greeted, stood up, and reached out to shake hands with Zhang Wenhui. Hello, cousin. Zhang Wenhui smiled, I thought I could see my cousin and cousin yesterday, but only my aunt and uncle came over, and you didn't come. Huo Yingzhe said politely, there are children at home, so we can't all leave. Then you can bring your children over too. Zhang Wenhui said, my dad and grandpa have been talking about you. Haha. Huo Yingzhe smiled, very distantly, thank you so much, grandpa. I miss you. They were not really close friends to begin with, but there was just a level of kinship, so Huo Yingzhe responded politely and distantly. Then cousin, if you are free, you can come over to our house as a guest, Zhang Wenhui said, looking up and down at the clothes of the two people opposite. No wonder her mother often said in front of her that her aunt's family was in good condition, and it was true. Well, let's talk about it later when we have time, Huo Yingzhe said politely, without saying a specific date, indicating that he would not go back. I came here just to have a quiet and elegant time to spend time together. Now that the sweet atmosphere was ruined, Huo Yingzhe didn't want to stay here anymore. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 629. 627. He Tian sensed Huo Yingzhe's impatience and decided to call it a day. He Tian took out 5 yuan from her wallet and put it on the table. This was a tip for the waiter. We've already eaten, Let's say goodbye first. Huo Yingzhi stood up and nodded slightly. Goodbye. Goodbye, he Tian smiled, followed Huo Yingzhi, and left together. After Huo Yingzhi and he Tian left, Zhang Wenhui realized that although she was not very close to her cousin, she was still too distant. The man next to Zhang Menjiu is called Lu Chuandong, who works in foreign affairs. He was introduced to Zhang Wenhui and they are now dating. Wenhui, what do your cousin and cousin do? Lu Chuandong beside Zhang Wenhui asked softly. Judging from their clothes and the baby in he Tianatian's hands, they could not be bought in China. My cousin is a descendant of the Huo family, Zhang Wenhui said. His father is the deputy mayor of Nanxi City, Suzhou Province. As for my cousin-in-law, she is an educated youth. The two of them are now college students at Nanxi University. Educated youth, the man frowned, a little disbelieving that an ordinary educated youth actually knew how to tip, and his table manners were very elegant and correct, which is not something ordinary people can do. Yes, he is just an educated youth, Zhang Wenhui said, but he is good-looking, has a good-looking belly, and gave birth to a pair of twins. Now the entire Huo family likes my cousin. I just don't know why, but my cousin is very fond of our Zhang family. Very distant. Lu Chuandong thought for a moment and said, it's probably because the Huo family suffered huge changes that time, and your Zhang family didn't lend a helping hand. After hearing this, Zhang Wenhui felt a little embarrassed. She also knew about that matter. At that time, the Zhang family was not able to protect themselves, so how could they help the Huo family? Hey, maybe so, Zhang Wenhui said, what a pity. Lu Chuandong also felt that it was a pity that Huo Yingjun had already reached a high position in the Foreign Affairs Department at a young age and was a very outstanding foreign affairs officer. If he can get in touch with the Huo family, he will have a bright future. At that time, the situation of the Huo family was indeed not something anyone could interfere with, so it was understandable that the Zhang family did not take action, Lu Chuandong said, but it's better now. The Huo family is not warm, but you should be more warm. Otherwise this relationship would really fade away. Zhang Wenhui nodded and said, yes, there are people who want to establish a relationship with the Huo family, but there is no way yet. We are relatives, and we cannot cut off this line. We will look for opportunities to improve the relationship in the future. Zhang Wenhui's words made Lu Chuandong feel a little hot. He was the person Zhang Wenhui said he wanted to have a relationship with but had no way. But in order to climb up, these words are nothing. Yes, you must take advantage of it, Lu Chuandong said. Now that he knows that the Zhang family is related to the Huo family, he wants to continue to get along with Zhang Wenhui. By the way, he Tian and Huo Yingzhi came out of the restaurant and walked hand in hand on the snowy road. With Huo Yingzhi around, he Tianatian's hands were always warm and did not feel cold. Brother Yingzhi, don't you like that cousin Menjiu? He Tian asked, feeling that her husband's behavior just now was disrespectful. But she knew Huo Yingzhi, there must be a reason. Haha, we don't have much contact with each other. If it weren't for my mother, I wouldn't want to talk to her, Huo Yingzhi said. Our Huo family suffered a great disaster that year, and we asked people everywhere to find a solution. The Zhang family and my grandfather were all in other places, helping. It's not a big deal. My grandpa's younger brother, my second grandpa, is in Yanjing. They didn't help us, but they told my mother some things and didn't make matters worse. If that were the case, you shouldn't be so alienated from this cousin, right? He Tian asked, there must be other reasons. Yeah, that time I met Zhang Wenhui on the road. I was sure she saw me, but she pretended not to see me, turned around and left, as if I would hurt her, Huo Yingzhi said. Just what kind of relatives are they? Haha, that's indeed a bit too much, he Tian said. If it were her, she would definitely be even more sad. Yeah, so from then on, I took it lightly, Huo Yingzhi said. Except for close relatives, no one else is important. Even good friends have to get along before they can treat each other sincerely. Well, I listened to Brother Yingzha, he Tian said in a crisp voice, showing his dependence and trust at the right time. Huo Yingzha has seen through the indifference of the outside world, but he is still very enthusiastic towards the people he recognizes. When the two returned home, a layer of snow fell on them. Zhang Lifang saw this and scolded Huo Yingzha, "It's so cold outside and it's snowing. Why don't you find something to cover Tian?" While talking, he helped He Tian clean up the snowflakes on his body. "Mom, it's not cold," He Tian said. Even though her mother-in-law was lecturing her son, she felt heartbroken. "Hurry in and drink a bowl of ginger tea," Zhang Lifang said. "Don't think that you don't pay attention to your health because you are young. When you get older, you will know the pain." "Thank you, Mom." He Tian felt warm in her heart as she listened to Zhang Lifang's nagging. Zhao Huan saw his second aunt, He Tian, who was as close as mother and daughter, with envious eyes in her eyes. Hey, it would be great if the second aunt was her mother-in-law, there wouldn't be so many worries. The Huo family was in catastrophe, and Zhao Huan didn't even think about divorcing Huo Yingjun, but these trivial family matters made her tired and angry, and she wanted a divorce. But when she thought of divorce, the Huo family would never allow her to take away her son. In addition, she still liked Zhao Yingjun in her heart, so she could only endure it. However, she usually chose to remain silent towards her mother-in-law. No matter what Song Chunli said, Zhao Huan was happy and nodded. When he was impatient, he just kept silent. This year, the men of the Huo family are high-spirited and talkative, but the atmosphere among the women is a bit awkward. Finally, it's the 6th day of the Lunar New Year, the day Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang's family leave. Originally, He Tian and Huo Yingzha thought that they would go back after a while before school started, but now they found that the atmosphere at home was not good, so they left early. Lest there be conflicts in the old house and they get into trouble. Mrs. Huo persuaded them to stay, but Zhang Lifang did not agree with them staying. In the evening they got on the train back to Nanji. When we got to the train and put away our luggage, everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, I have wronged you these past few days," Grandma Wang sighed. "The old lady told me last night that I was sorry for you." When Huo Jekan and Zhang Lifang heard this, they said, "Aunt Wang, when you have time, write more letters to your mother and persuade her that some things should not be taken too seriously. After all, she is not young. It is not good for her to worry about it. I tried to persuade her yesterday, but it's not like you don't understand your mother-in-law. She is just worried about her life. She won't be idle until she closes her eyes." Grandma Wang sighed. "Zhegan's wife is indeed a bit confused, no wonder your mother-in-law is so troubled." The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 630. 628. He Tian fetched hot water, took out cups, and poured tea for everyone. When Huo Jekan saw his wife, Aunt Wang was in a bad mood, and said with a smile, "I have told my father, eldest brother, and Yingjun about these things and asked them to pay attention. It is important for a man to work hard outside, and it is even more important to handle the conflicts at home." "Haha, it would be great if everyone is as sensible as you," Aunt Wang said. "I won't say any more, there are some things that we can't control if we want to. As long as you can be good, the old lady will have less to worry about." He Tian was feeding the baby, and the two big fat babies were holding the bottles. Their cheeks were sucking in and out, and their big eyes were looking at this and that, as if they could understand what the adults said. When Aunt Wang saw the cuteness of the two fat babies, she lost her previous dullness and started to play with the children. With Zhang Lifang taking care of the child during the day, He Tian slept most of the time. At night, she had to watch over the child and let her parents-in-law rest. When the train arrived at Nanji Station, He Tian suddenly felt that the turbid air in the train had become fresher. In her heart, Yanjing's old house is not her home, Nanchi is their home. Secretary Guo got 2 cars to pick him up, took him home directly, saluted him, and left. Secretary Guo was thoughtful and helped buy fresh vegetables, which he got with a lot of effort. Zhang Lifang asked Secretary Guo to stay for dinner, but Secretary Guo refused. The leader and his family were so tired from taking the train that he had no nerve to stay here for dinner, so he left with another driver. But after being away for 10 days, they felt like they had been away for many days. Grandma Wang was taking care of the children in the house, while Huo Jekan, Huo Yingzhe, Zhang Lifang, and He Tiantian did simple cleaning. It's almost noon, He Tiantian is cooking. After eating, the family of 7 finally felt like they were home. Not only He Tiantian feels this way, but others also do. Still comfortable in your own home. Nanchi University started school on the 12th day of the first lunar month, and it didn't take long. He Tiantian prepared some things for school, and on the 10th day of the first lunar month, she received something sent from Yanjing. He Tiantian has already thought about inviting a few familiar classmates over for the Lantern Festival. These things come in handy and can be used to greet classmates. He Tiantian had just packed up the things she had sent and was about to go to bed when she heard a bang knock on the door outside. It's late at night, who is it? He Tiantian asked Huo Yingzhe beside him in confusion. It shouldn't be my parents. I'll go take a look, Huo Yingzhe said. No matter who it is, there is no need to be afraid if he is at home. Huo Yingzhe went to open the door and saw Huang Jingli looking embarrassed outside the door. Huh, Huo Yingzhe was surprised. Huang Jingli, were you robbed? Because Huang Jingli knows how to deal with things, Huo Yingzhe has a good impression of her and is considered a friend who can talk to her. I'm sorry to disturb you so late. I really have nowhere to go. Huang Jingli leaned against him, her voice was a little hoarse and her expression was sad. Then come in, Huo Yingzhe said. He was not suitable to entertain Huang Jingli. Tiantian, it's your classmate Huang Jingli. He Tiantian heard the sound and came out quickly. Something must have happened. Please ask carefully. I will go to the house to look after the child, Huo Yingzhe said. It was not convenient for him to listen to things between women. Furthermore, the fact that Huang Jingli is in such a mess must be due to an unbearable experience. He is not a man suitable to be around. He Tiantian brought Huang Jingli to the guest room, carried the stove from the kitchen, poured some hot water for Huang Jingli and said, Sister Jingli, drink some water first to warm your body. Huang Jingli didn't refuse and drank 2 drinks in a row before she recovered. He Tiantian found her mother's cotton-padded clothes and shoes and said, Sister Jingli, you can't wear my clothes? I took my mother's old clothes, so you can make do with them. Huang Jingli's clothes were in tatters, and her shoes exposed her toes. Seeing He Tiantian busy, Huang Jingli finally shed tears after holding back the tears. Tiantian, thank you, Huang Jingli said gratefully while crying. The world is so big, she really has no place to go, so she can only trouble He Tiantian. Sister Jingli, have you been robbed? He Tiantian thought that Huang Jingli came to school and walked at night and was robbed. Recently, there are many unemployed young people in Nan City, and the public security is worse than before. I must talk to my father-in-law tomorrow and ask him to strengthen the public security management of Nan City. Huang Jingli shook her head, regardless of the fact that it was a family scandal, and said, when I got home, my family put me under house arrest. House arrest? He Tiantian was surprised, or was it done by a family member? This is too strange. Cannot imagine. Yes, you heard it right, Huang Jingli has calmed down. I have 4 brothers and sisters in my family. I am the 3rd oldest. The 2 older brothers are married and there is a younger sister. At that time, my brother had already assigned I'm working. I'm going to work in the factory soon. My sister has just finished school. She was supposed to be a young man in the city, but she suddenly suffered a fracture, so the spot fell on me to take my sister's place. I have no complaints about going to the countryside. Sometimes I secretly send them the tickets, money I save, and some mountain goods I pick up in the mountains. Yes, I heard from Sister Wu at that time that you were living a very poor life. He Tian said, the rations for educated youths are all very limited. Huang Jingli can still save some money, exchange it for some money, and send it back together with what she has saved. Home. Huang Jingli's tears fell down like broken pearls. I'm so filial, but only my mother occasionally replies to my letters. I don't receive a word from anyone else, and no one lets me go home for the new year. Huang Jingli said, it's like I don't have a daughter. I came to school. I didn't tell my family that I was complaining. However, when the holiday was about to begin, I received a letter from my mother asking me to go home for the new year. You haven't told your family, how come they have the address of Nanshi University? He Tian frowned, there must be twists and turns that she didn't know about. Huang Jingli smiled bitterly and said, it's Lin Xiru. My mother wrote me a letter, and when it got into Lin Xiru's hands, she wrote back to my parents, saying that I was admitted to Nanshi University. Lin Xiru is so kind, he Tian asked. Sending a letter requires time and effort, including writing letters, buying stamps, and sending it to the county seat. There is no benefit for Lin Xiru to do this. I was admitted to college, but she didn't. Of course she didn't want me to live comfortably. Huang Jingli hit the nail on the head. I haven't been home for the Chinese New Year for so many years, which shows that I'm not favored at home. Tell my parents about my situation. Will definitely bring trouble to me. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 631. 629. No one knows Lin Xiru better than Huang Jingli, who has been coerced by Lin Xiru for a long time. What kind of trouble is that? He Tian asked. Even if I want to ask you for money, I won't let you go. I'll put you under house arrest. He Tian was very puzzled and didn't understand how there could be such parents. Haha, although I suffered a lot when I went back this time, I learned a lot of truth. Huang Jingli smiled bitterly, with indelible sadness in her eyes. It turns out that those are not my biological parents, they are my aunt and uncle. Those people are not my biological brothers and sisters, they are just my aunts and cousins. You didn't know that before? He Tian was stunned. What about your biological parents? They all died in a work accident when I was half a year old. Huang Jingli said, they received my parents' pension and adopted me by the way. Because my sister and I look similar, so even if I was not favored at home, and I did not suspect that I was not my biological child. This time I went back and overheard their conversation, and I learned the truth. I also knew that my sister's fracture was fake, and she just didn't want to go to the country. Set up a trap to make me volunteer to be an educated youth. You are not their biological child, and they cannot put you under house arrest, He Tian said. Do they still have unreasonable demands? It's not just unreasonable, it's simply unreasonable, and it's heartbreaking. Huang Jingli scolded. They said that my sister is weak and works very hard in the factory, and the wages of temporary workers are low. They want me to work in the factory and let my sister go to college. Ah, He Tian was stunned again. Oh my God, can it still be like this? Are you very similar to your sister? It's very similar, otherwise I wouldn't have always believed that he was the child of this family. I have heard some gossip before, but I didn't believe it. Huang Jingli said, I work so hard alone in the countryside, and in order to pass the exam the university has put in a lot of effort. This is my chance to change my destiny. Of course I can't agree. If I don't agree, they will lock me up and they will make it happen when school starts. Oh my god, He Tian couldn't believe what she just heard and how it could be like this. But think about it, if they look similar, if you are not a familiar person, you won't be able to tell them at all. As for the results, we won't know until the exam. Therefore, Huang Jingli was replaced, and no one would know for a while. Then how did you escape? He Tian asked. Since they have this idea and lock you up again, they will not let you out before the matter is completed. Huang Jingli sneered and said with a sneer, if it were before, and I didn't know the truth, maybe for the sake of my sisters, I might agree, but I know the truth, and of course I don't want to do that. So I agreed on the surface and said I can still take the exam next year, it's nothing, it makes them relax their vigilance. Then what happened to your clothes? He Tian asked. They gave all my clothes and shoes to my sister. I could only wear the old ones left at home. I didn't dare not agree, lest they suspect, so when they weren't paying attention, I secretly took mine. I ran out of my private money, bought a ticket, and went back to Nanshi directly. It's just that the school has not started yet and the dormitory is not allowed to enter, so I can only come to join you. Hearing this, He Tian slapped her head and said, you probably haven't eaten on the way, look at my head. Just wait for me, I'll get you something to satisfy your hunger. After a while, He Tian brought a handful of chocolate and bread and said, Sister Jingli, you eat the chocolate first, and the bread will be toasted on the stove before eating. It will be more fragrant. Thank you Tian. Huang Jingli thanked her and ate 3 pieces of chocolate in a row, which made her stomach feel better. You're welcome. We have known each other for so many years. If you have difficulties, of course I will help you, He Tian said, making another large cup of milk powder for Huang Jingli and serving it with bread. It was delicious but very hungry. Huang Jingli was extremely lucky that she got along with He Tian and did not do anything bad to He Tian, nor did she get along with Lin Xiao. From this incident, Huang Jingli felt that a person must have a bottom line and have kind thoughts in his heart to achieve good results. If it weren't for you as a classmate, I would be living on the street, Huang Jingli said with a bitter smile. Looking at the elegant and clean furnishings in the room, she felt very grateful. Stop saying these kind words. Tell me, what are your plans for the future? He Tian asked. He probably won't be able to go back to that home. Hey, Huang Jingli sighed, although I suffered a lot when I went back this time, I am very lucky to know the truth instead of being kept in the dark all my life. In the past, I would still blame my family for treating me badly. I feel sad. Not anymore. Since they are not my family, why should I feel sad for them? I will live a good life and find an honest and motivated man to have my own family. The truth? To be kept in the dark all your life? It turns out that Huang Jingli also had such an experience, but Huang Jingli was only 28 years old, still very young, and still had a good life. Much luckier than her. Huang Jingli's luck is not accidental. In both past and present lives, Huang Jingli was admitted to college, left Kijia village, and had a good life. It can be seen that Huang Jingli has a strong heart, can take things and let them go, so she has a life that is bitter first and then sweet. It's best if you can figure it out, He Tian said. Study hard in the future, complete your studies, have a good job, find a good man, and build a good family. If you have difficulties, just tell me, I will try my best to help you. Thank you, Tian. Huang Jingli said gratefully, but she knew that she still needed to work hard on her own in her life. She would not force help from others unless absolutely necessary. You're welcome, He Tian smiled softly. By the way, Sister Jingli, how are you and Wu Yaoliang doing? Before the holiday, Huang Jingli and Wu Yaoliang were arranged to meet. After the holiday, they went home respectively. I wonder how they get along with each other? What's your impression? Huang Jingli was a little embarrassed when she heard He Tian's inquiry, and said a little shyly, actually, Wu Yaliang is a very nice person. After the holiday that day, we helped the teacher with some things and left a good impression on each other. Oh, that's good. You can take charge of emotional matters yourself. I believe that with Sister Jingli's intelligence, she can definitely find a good man and have a good family, he Tian Tian encouraged, and this was true. Huang Jingli is a very shrewd person who does things in a measured way and knows how to advance and retreat. On the surface, it may seem like an average impression, but once you get along, you will feel it. Unlike Lin Xiaoru, she gives the impression that she is very shrewd, but her shrewdness is all on the surface, and she is selfish and stupid on the inside. I recommend 11 Zhen's new book Rebirth of a Beautiful Life in the 1970s, a soft girl from ancient times travels to the 1970s, and she works together with a rough man and his wife, and they use their strength to cut off the gold, and perform a beautiful new life in a down-to-earth manner. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 632. 630. Tian Tian looked at her watch, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. Sister Jingli, it's already warm in this room. I've dried the quilts and mattresses. You can sleep in this room. If you have anything to do, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Now get some rest, Tian Tian said. By the way, the bathroom, there's hot water in the thermos, and you wash in the green plastic basin. Okay, you can rest first and I'll go wash up, Huang Jingli said with a smile. After being worried for so many days, she could finally have a good sleep. With this friend, I have a place to stay and will not end up living on the street. Tian Tian went back and whispered to Huo Yingzhi about Huang Jingli. I didn't expect that Huang Jingli is quite pitiful, Huo Yingzhi said. Since I have a good relationship with you, you should help her more. It's rare that you can talk to her, and she is also shrewd. Yeah, Tian Tian agreed. She was very sleepy and fell asleep with her arms around Huo Yingzhi's waist. Huang Jingli was lying on the soft quilt, feeling warm, and her whole body became warm. I fell asleep in a daze, still thinking about how I should be nice to Tian Tian in the future and thank her for her kindness. Huang Jingli was very tired and slept until about 11 o'clock the next morning. Tian Tian, don't be sorry, I got up a little late, Huang Jingli said guiltily. It was embarrassing to come to someone else's house and sleep in. It's okay, you're very tired, Tian Tian smiled. You go and wash up first, and you'll have lunch soon. By the time Huang Jingli finished washing, Tian Tian had already served the food on the table. She put the children in the stroller and let them drink milk powder while the others ate. After lunch, Tian Tian and Huang Jingli were talking and taking care of the children. At around 10 o'clock in the afternoon, another guest came to Tianation's house, Wu Yaliang. Huo Yingzhi asked in surprise, is the school dormitory open? The door is open, Wu Yaliang said, I just came back from school. These are the sausages I made myself. I will bring some to you. Huo Yingzhi was not polite, took it and said, thank you very much. By the way, squad leader Wu, how do you feel about that Huang Jingli? Do you want to continue? Of course I do. It's rare for such a good girl to fall in love with me, and she's so good and has a common language, Wu Yaliang said. I came here this time just to ask my sister-in-law to help me say good things in front of Huang Jingli. Find something to hug the beauty back home. Speaking of the Chinese New Year, Wu Yaliang's heart is filled with tears. During the Chinese New Year, his parents insisted that he go on a blind date. Wu Yaliang didn't want to find a second marriage or a village girl who didn't speak the same language, so he just said that he would make friends at school. Compared with second marriages in rural areas where village girls are illiterate, Wu Yaliang's parents are certainly willing to find a daughter-in-law who is a college student. They no longer force Wu Yaliang to get married, but require Wu Yaliang to bring his future daughter-in-law to meet his parents in 2 months. Except for his looks, Wu Yaliang is good at everything else. He is a lucky person. Supervisor Wu, Huang Jingli came to our house yesterday in a state of despair. She must have been wronged at home. Huo Yingzhi reminded in a low voice. This is a good opportunity. You should comfort her and wait for her to tell you about the bad situation at home. It's a matter of concern for you, I guess. Wu Yaoliang's eyes lit up when he heard Huo Yingzhi's words. Oh my God, I'm lucky to have come here and have such a good opportunity. Huo Yingzhi, you are interesting enough, Wu Yaoliang said happily. He must seize the opportunity. Huang Jingli heard that the school dormitory was open, so she thought about going back to school. It's okay to go back to school. We can go back after dinner, He Tian said. You don't have to worry about it being dark or unsafe. Isn't there, Wu Yaoliang? You two can just chat on the way. What a great opportunity. Huang Jingli didn't hesitate, nodded, and said, that's right, then I'll leave at night. Tian, my clothes are too shabby, I'll throw them away later. I'll wear your mother's clothes first, and I'll change them when I get back. Take the clothes and return them. My mother, Wang Shuping, has gone to the United States and will probably never wear these clothes again in her life. Sister Jingli, as you know, my parents have gone to country and they probably won't wear these clothes in this life. They'll have nothing to do if they stay at home. Since you can wear them, wear them. Don't think it's old. He Tian said, this is the clothes of her mother Wang Shuping. The color is plain, but the workmanship is very good and it can also show off the waist. Huang Jingli liked the clothes on her body, nodded and said, thank you, Tian, I won't be polite to you anymore. If you have anything in the future, as long as I can help, just say it, I will never refuse. I won't be polite to you, He Tian said, one more friend, one more path. After dinner, Wu Yaoliang and Huang Jingli went back to school together. He Tian also packed some candies and chocolates for Huang Jingli and asked her to take them to the dormitory to eat. When school started, He Tian packed up, sat on the back seat of Huo Yingzhi's bicycle, and the couple went to school. The children have become accustomed to their parents not being around. As long as Grandma Wang is around, it is very easy to take care of them. 2 weeks later, Huang Jingli and Wu Yaoliang confirmed their relationship. Wu Yaoliang bought some gifts and came over to thank Huo Yingzhi and He Tian. 1 month into school, Wu Yaoliang took 2 days off from his teacher, and on Sunday, he took Huang Jingli home to meet his parents, which was very fast. They are very fast, He Tian exclaimed. Could it be that their understanding is not thorough enough? Haha, don't worry. They are both adults and smart people. They have the same experience and speak the same language, Huo Yingzhi said. At the same time, there is no problem with the character of the two people. One wants to marry and the other wants to marry. It's normal to go faster. He Tian nodded and said, I hope they are happy. Probably, Huo Yingzhi said, don't worry about other people's affairs all day long. When you are studying, can you care about your husband? After hearing this, He Tian's delicate body softened and she leaned into Huo Yingzhi's arms, her eyes as charming as silk. She put down the pen in her hand and put her little hands into Huo Yingzhi's clothes to fumble around. Honey, how do you want me to care about you? He Tian asked in a sweet voice, pinching the soft flesh under Huo Yingzhi's arm as he spoke. Seeing his beloved wife like this, Huo Yingzhi hugged He Tian tightly and said in a hoarse voice, I'd better care about you for the sake of my husband. After saying that, he began his great cause of care. He Tian was only responsible for the beginning of the sexual affair between the two, while Huo Yingzhi was responsible for the process and ending. Cooperation is tacit and affectionate. The only disharmonious part is that sometimes it is the happiest part. The cry of a child can be heard not far away, making the two of them unable to get up or down. Although Huo Yingzhi loved his children, at this moment, he wanted to throw the two children into the yard. These two cheating things hurt them for nothing. I work hard to take care of them all day long, but I don't know how to feel sorry for and honor my father. All of them are debt collectors.